Very good evening, dear students. I cordially welcome you all to this 30-question discussion session. In this session, we discuss chapter number 5, Evolution. We discuss selected 30 questions. First question, wings of a bird and wings of an insect are. The answer is they are analogous structures represent convergent evolution. Two important terms from the examination point of view are referred in the option. First, analogous organs. What are analogous organs? Organs having different basic structure but doing the same function. Organs having different structure but perform the same function, they are called analogous organs. For example, wings of bird and wings of insects. Both of them are wings, but the wing of bird is structurally different from that of wing of insects, but both are used for the same function, flying. So they are analogous organs. Same different structure, but doing the same function. Those organisms possessing analogous organs, they show convergent evolution. What is convergent evolution? The organisms originate from different ancestry, but they converge or they live in same habitat. They live in same habitat. Different ancestry. They come from different ancestry, but they in same habitat. This is what is called convergent evolution. Organisms having different ancestry but live in same habitat, it is called convergent evolution. Homologous organ is the opposite of analogous organ. Divergent evolution is the opposite of convergent evolution. So let us consider or make this opportunity to say something about homologous organs. Homologous organs, they have same basic structure, but they do different functions. Same basic structure, they do different function. Structure is same, basic structure is same, or there is structural similarity, but function is different. Thorn of bougainvillea, tendril of cucumber, both of them basically same structure. Thorn and tendril, they are modified stem. We studied it. Thorn and tendril are modifications of stem, but they do different function. Thorn, it is for protection. Tendril, it is for climbing. Same basic structure, doing the same function. So doing the different function. Same basic structure, doing different function. Those organisms having homologous organs, they show divergent evolution. What is divergent evolution? Divergent evolution, the organisms have common ancestry. The organisms have common ancestry, and from a common ancestral thing, they evolve, but during the course of evolution, they diverge into different habitat. They diverge into different habitat. So the function of the structures are different. In convergent evolution, from different ancestry, they converge into same habitat. They converge into same habitat. This is convergent evolution. This is divergent evolution. This is convergent evolution. This is divergent evolution. Convergent evolution, they have analogous structures or analogous organ. Divergent evolution, they have homologous structures. Next question. Industrial melanism is an example of. Industrial melanism is an example of natural selection. That is the selection performed by the nature. What is industrial melanism? You know, before industrial revolution in England, the peppered moth, the white varieties were common. Before industrial revolution, white type of peppered moths were common in England. But after industrial revolution, melanic type or black type of peppered moth were common in England, especially in urban or city areas. This happened due to natural selection. Why this difference in the type of peppered moth before industrial revolution and after industrial revolution? Before industrial revolution, the branches of the trees were covered with the snow. There is no atmospheric pollution that much. When a white type moth rests on the snow-covered tree branches, their enemies, usually birds, could not easily detect them. So they survive. But on the other hand, a melanic type or a black type sit and rest on a snow-covered branch, a snow-covered tree, since the difference in the background, on a white background, a black type of moth is resting. The predator, the enemies, the birds can easily detect them and they take away the moth as their food. So the black types were not selected. White types were selected by nature. White types escape from the predators, the birds, but black type cannot. So the environment was suitable for, before industrial revolution, the environment was suitable for white type moth. They were selected, so their population increased. But after industrial revolution, due to the emission of smoke and other exhaust from the industries, atmosphere get polluted. Not only that, the branches of trees were covered by carbon particle and other particles emitted from the industries, and they turned somewhat black in color. Branches of the trees become black in color. What I am mentioning is there is a change of environment after industrial revolution. Change of environment. Atmospheric pollution, release of smoke and other gases, and carbon particle and other dust particle, all they are get deposited on the snow-covered branches of trees. The branches of trees appear black in color. In this changed situation, if a melanic type sit and rest, if a dark type rest on the branches of the trees, black colored, turned black colored or black background branches, the melanic type were not easily distinguishable. So this environment, the changed environment is favorable for the black type. But on the other hand, the previously selected, that is the white type selected before industrial revolution, they sit on the black covered or black background branches. They are easily detected by their predators, birds, and the environment is, the changed environment is not suitable for white type, but now it is suitable for black type. So since the environment is favorable for black types were protected or preserved or selected, not the white type. So natural selection, here the most important point is natural selection is operated. Natural selection is operated as per the environmental condition. Which organism is favorable or which organism is advantageous for the condition, environmental condition, those organisms were selected. Those organisms were selected, that is natural selection. Question number 3. Genetic drift operates. Genetic drift operates. Genetic drift, it operates in small isolated population. Genetic drift operates in small isolated population. Genetic drift, the idea was first proposed by an American scientist, Sewall Wright. Sewall Wright. So genetic drift is also called Sewall Wright effect. Sewall Wright effect. What is Sewall Wright effect or genetic drift? When the population becomes small. When population becomes small means in terms of size, in terms of number of organisms in that population. If the number of population decreases, that means the population size decreases. Population size decreases. What happens? There occurs change in allele frequency. Change in allele frequency. I may cut short it. I may sum it. That is, when the population size decreases, allele frequencies in the population changes. This change in allele frequencies in a population due to decrease in size of the population, it is called genetic drift. So it operates in a small isolated population. What is the importance of genetic drift in evolution? Genetic drift causes variation in population. Causes variation in population. Variation is an evolutionary force. Variation propels evolution. Variation pushes the evolution. So genetic drift is an evolutionary force. Genetic drift is an evolutionary force. Next. In Harvey-Weinberg equation, frequency of heterozygous individuals, it is 2pq. 2pq. What is Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium? So Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, it was proposed by Harvey and Weinberg independently. The concept was proposed by G.H. Harvey and W. Weinberg. They proposed it independently. So what is Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium? The allele frequency in a population remains constant generation after generation. Remains constant generation after generation. If there is no migration, if there is no mutation, if there is no natural selection, if there is no genetic drift, if these factors are not operating in a population, the allele frequency remains in a constant, generation after generation. This constancy of allele frequency is called Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium or genetic equilibrium. Next point. What is the significance of Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium? Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium means the constancy of allele frequency in a population, generation after generation, is referred as Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium or genetic equilibrium. The next important point, what is the significance of Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium? Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, if a population is in Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium or a population is maintaining Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, the population is not undergoing evolution. I may repeat once again, if a population is in Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, the population is not evolving. The population is not undergoing any evolution. But if a population deviates from Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, that is, if a population is not in Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, that is, the population is not obeying Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, if the population is not maintaining Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, it indicates the population is undergoing evolution. The population is undergoing evolution. So this can be considered as a mathematical explanation or a mathematical viewpoint of evolution. If a population is maintaining Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, no evolution taking place in that population. If a population is away from or not maintaining Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, it is undergoing evolution. So, Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium also suggests one more concept. That is the third point. If a population is in Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium, the frequency of genotypes can be calculated from an equation. That's what we call binomial A plus B whole square. A is the frequency of dominant allele, B is the frequency of recessive allele. So it is it is P, it is used here, it is P. So we can use P itself. So it is given by P plus Q whole square. P is the frequency of dominant allele, Q is the frequency of recessive allele. When we expand it, P square plus 2PQ plus Q square. P square is the frequency of dominant allele. P square is the frequency of a dominant allele. Q square, P square is the frequency of a homozygous dominant genotype. Sorry, not dominant allele. Homozygous dominant genotype. Homozygous dominant genotype like this. Q square is the frequency of a homozygous recessive genotype. Homozygous recessive genotype. 2PQ, it is the frequency of a heterozygous genotype. Heterozygous genotype. So 2PQ represent the heterozygous individual. So next is a chronological, correct sequence of human evolution. The correct sequence is Ramapithecus, it, then Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus. From the given option, it is the chronological order of human evolution. Then next. Similarity of bone structure in forelimbs of many vertebrates is an example of similarity of bone structure in many vertebrates, but those structures or those organs, they perform different function. Same structure, different function. We studied homologous organs. The phenomenon is known as homology, homologous organs, and the phenomenon is known as homology, and it represents the divergent evolution. So the different forelimbs of different animals are given, including man. Man, cheetah, whale, bat. Basically, the structure of the forelimbs of these organisms are basically same. Basically same, but they perform different function. In bat, it is used for flying. In whale, it is used for swimming. In cheetah, it is used for running. In man, it is used for doing various purposes, various activities. So it is homology. Next question. Gene locus. In gene locus, the allele capital A, two alleles are the capital A and small a. The problem says the frequency of capital A is 0.4. Capital A, P equal to 0.4. That is dominant allele, the frequency is 0.4. Then the frequency of recessive allele, it is Q, it is 1 minus 0.4, it gives 0.6. What is the frequency of homozygous dominant, heterozygous, homozygous recessive individuals? Homozygous dominant, it is P square, so it is 0.16. Heterozygous individuals, it is 2PQ, so it is 0.48. Homozygous recessive, it is Q square, it is equal to 0.1, sorry, it is equal to 0.36. 0.36. So we select the answer option 2. An application of Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium and the binomial expansion proposed by, that is P plus Q whole square, to find out the genotypic frequency in a population which is maintaining Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium. Next is match the following different ancestral species of modern man, including or also modern man and its ancestor, and the brain size. Brain size means in fossils, the volume of the cranial cavity is measured. Brain is not available for the study. Cranial cavity is measured. So it is a rough estimation. However, answer is 2. Answer is 2. Homo habilis, the least brain size. Then Homo neanderthalensis, the maximum brain size, little more than the modern man. Homo erectus, it has 900 cc, and the average brain size of modern man is 1350. So this is the brain size, and you can see that during the course of evolution, the brain size progressively increased. Don't bother about this disparity of 50 cc. As I told already, the brain size, it is indirectly measured by measuring the cranial or the volume of the cranial cavity. In general, during the course of evolution of human being, there was a gradual increase in the brain size. Gradual increase. We move on to question number 9. Okay, it is an experiment conducted by Stanley Miller, an American scientist, which is considered as a proof for chemical evolution. Chemical evolution, which was proposed by A.I. Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane. That is, life originated from non-living organic molecule which occurred after chemical evolution. And so from his experiment, Stanley Miller produced amino acids by mixing the following in a closed flask. He took a closed flask, and the answer here it is D. The following gases and water are taken in the closed apparatus, which is kept at 800 degrees Celsius. So the water is kept boiling. The water is in the form of water vapor. And these are the things he selected in this apparatus. And what is the result of the apparatus? And these gases and the water vapor, it mimics or more or less comparable to the atmosphere of a primitive Earth. Atmosphere of a primitive Earth. He provided electrodes and spark discharge. This is similar to the lightning in the primitive atmosphere. And he maintained 800 degrees Celsius. And the apparatus he kept for some week. He could collect amino acids. So the amino acids formed from these components, no amino acid is taken. It is an evidence for in support of chemical evolution. Question number 10. Flippers of penguin and dolphin are example of convergent evolution. Flippers of penguin and dolphin, why they are considered as convergent evolution? Because they are analogous organs. They are analogous organs. Flippers of penguin and dolphin, they are analogous organs. Analogous organs indicate convergent evolution. Then, 11. Embryological support of evolution. It was disapproved by Carl Ernst von Baer. It was Baer who disapproved the embryological evolution. What is embryological evolution? That is, during the embryogeny of an organism. During the embryogeny of an organism, in the early stages of embryogeny, the organism or the early stages of embryogeny of an organism, it shows different stages of its phylogeny. Different stages of a phylogeny. This is what Ernst Haeckel said about the embryological evidence of evolution. He proposed a hypothesis. Ontogeny recapitulate phylogeny. What is ontogeny? Development of an organism from zygote to adult. Ontogeny means embryogeny. What is phylogeny? Evolutionary history. During the ontogeny of an organism, it shows some of its phylogenetic character. Some of its phylogenetic character. It is an embryological evidence. For example, during the embryogeny of human being, during the embryogeny of humans, before in the early stages of human embryo, it has a small tail. It has a small tail. It indicates that human originated from tailed ancestors. During the embryogeny of frog, there is a stage called tadpole larvae. It is a fish-like stage. It indicates that frog and amphibian originated from fish or fish-like organisms. Fish or fish-like organisms. Similarly, many organisms during their embryogeny, they show their respective phylogenetic character. This theory is called ontogeny recapitulate phylogeny, proposed by Ernst Haeckel, but it was disapproved by Ernst von Baer. Next. Fitness according to Darwin. Fitness according to Darwin. Darwin, by means of fitness, it is reproductive fitness, not the physical or physiological fitness. What is reproductive fitness? Reproductive fitness means the organisms which have favorable variation. Reproductive fitness means the organism is allowed to produce a large number of progeny. Organisms are allowed to produce a large number of progeny. Allowed to produce large number of progeny. So that is what is called reproductive fitness. Reproductive fitness. Organisms are allowed to produce a large number of progeny. That is what is called reproductive fitness. Now, evolution is a continuous process. That means still taking place. Still taking place. Today takes place. Took place tomorrow, yesterday, and in future also. Evolution is a continuous process. Evolution is a continuous process. Next. What is meant by biochemical similarity? In evolution, biochemical similarity provides biochemical evidence in support of evolution. What is biochemical similarity or biochemical evidence? Evidence is obtained from biomolecules. Here, answer is C. That is similarities in protein and genes of an organism. Proteins of wide variety, diverse type of animals, genes of diverse animals, plants, they show same basic similarity or basic structure is same. Proteins are polypeptides of amino acid. It is true in bacteria. It is true in humans also. Gene, genetic material in bacteria, it is DNA. It is a polynucleotide structure. In man, in humans also, genetic material is DNA. It is a polynucleotide chain. That is from bacteria to humans. Two extreme ends. Bacteria to human. From algae to angiosperm. From bacteria to human. From algae to angiosperm. Angiosperm. This similarity you can see in important, not almost all biomolecules. This similarity is referred as biochemical evidence or biochemical evidences in favor of evolution. That's about it. Next, question number 15. Development of different functional structures from a common ancestral form is called. It is called adaptive radiation. Common ancestral form, it is called adaptive radiation. Organisms showing adaptive radiation, they possess homologous organs. They possess homologous organs. And adaptive radiation, they show divergent evolution. These three terms are related. Adaptive radiation, divergent evolution, homologous organs. Adaptive radiations, divergent evolution, homologous organs. Homologous organs. So they are related. They are related. So Darwin, during his voyage, he observed a black-colored birds in Galapagos Island. These black-colored birds, it was later known by the name Darwin's finches. Darwin noticed different types of beaks in this black-colored bird. So the original bird, the original beak, original birds were seed eaters. The ancestral stock was seed eaters. So the beak is hard. From this common ancestral stock, different types originated. From the common ancestral stock, the different types originated. There you can notice the change in the beak pattern. All develops from the common ancestral stock, the original stock. They were seed eaters. So the beaks varied. This is what is called adaptive radiation. From a common ancestral stock, different types originated. During their course of evolution, they migrated to some other part of the geography. There their food habit changed. The beak pattern may also change. So this is adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation represents homologous organs, means divergent evolution. Okay, next. Philosophic, zoologic, a name of a book. Philosophic, zoologic. This book was written by Lamarck. What is the importance of this book? Why this book is referred in this chapter, evolution? In this book, Lamarck explained his theory. Lamarck's theory, use and disuse theory to explain evolution. Use and disuse theory to explain evolution. The fundamental basis of use and disuse theory is that if an organ is in constant use, the organ develops. If an organ is in disuse, not using properly, the organ degrade, the organ retard, the organ degrade, or the organ retard. So that is what is called use and disuse theory. So taking the example of origin of giraffe, Lamarck explains that the ancestors of giraffe were horse-like animal having shortened neck. But the ancestors of giraffe continuously stretched their neck, to get the leaves of tall plants. They continuously stretched their neck. This continuous stretching, use of neck, it resulted in the elongation of neck. When the neck elongated, the organism became a new one, that is giraffe. This theory was explained in this book. Next, which of the following factors do not allow Harvey-Weinberg principle to operate? What is Harvey-Weinberg principle? What is Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium? We know. That is constancy or equilibrium of allele frequency. That means we have to select an option which alter the gene frequency, which alter the allele frequency. The option is very clear, that is mutation. Mutation results in the formation of new allele or new gene in a population, and in the future it causes variation, change in the allele frequency. So mutation is a cause which disturb Harvey-Weinberg equilibrium. Then next, 18. During which period first seed plants evolved? It is somewhere in the Devonian period. It is somewhere in the Devonian period. The first seed plants, progymnosperms, might have been evolved from Xylophyton. The seed plants might have been evolved from Xylophyton. So it is in the Devonian period. This is the geological chart. It is divided into era, Paleozoic era, Mesozoic era, and Cenozoic era. A beautiful picture given in NCERT, page number 138. And the era is divided into period. Paleozoic era divided into 4 periods: Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, Permian. Mesozoic era into 3: Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous. The present running era is Mesozoic, Cenozoic era. Is the Cenozoic era. It is divided into 2: Quaternary and Tertiary. So the present day plants are given there in a depicted way, So the first seed plants were originated during Devonian period. Next, Mesozoic era is called the age of reptiles. Mesozoic era, which era is called the age of reptiles. Mesozoic era, especially Jurassic period. Mesozoic era, Jurassic period. Next question, referring. Which era? Mesozoic era, Jurassic period. It is plants only are given. In the next page 139, some animals are given. So Mesozoic era, precisely Mesozoic era of Jurassic period. Then, question number 20, the first human-like hominid, not a human being, human-like hominid. It is Homo habilis. Homo habilis. Then, next, if a graph like this changed into a graph like this, graph having only one peak. So by selection, it changed into a graph like two peaks. Here only one peak. What type of selection? What type of selection? It is disruptive selection. What is disruptive selection? That is, in disruptive selection, individuals having values below average, individuals having values above average are selected. Both the types of individuals are selected. Values below average, values above average are selected. So it is disruptive selection. What is stabilizing selection? Stabilizing selection, individuals having average values are selected. In stabilizing selection, individuals having average values are selected. In directional selection, individuals having either below average or above average values are selected. If the individuals having average values are selected, it is called stabilizing selection. Individuals having either below or above than average values are selected, it is called directional selection. Individuals having both below and above are selected. Both below and above average are selected. It is called disruptive selection. Then, question number 22. Ask us to select the odd one evolutionary or among the organisms. One stands odd with respect to others in terms of evolution. In terms of evolution, they are lycopods. They are lycopods. So lycopods. Okay. The lycopods originated from, you can see the line of lycopods originated. The lycopods originated from this. From here, the ancestor. But the others are in the question ferns, Sphenopsida, conifers. Ferns, Sphenopsida, and conifers. They have common origin from Xylophyton. Common origin from Xylophyton. The question I am referring this. So ferns, Sphenopsida, and conifers, they originated from Xylophyton. Xylophyton. But lycopods not from xylophyton. Lycopods not from xylophyton. Okay, that is what we said. So first, lycopods originated from not xylophyton, but sphenopsids, ferns, conifers, they originated from xylophyton. They originated from xylophyton. So it is odd. Lycopods are odd. Okay. Okay. Not from xylophyton, it is given. Now, next is again Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. If the gene pool A is 90%, small a 10%, frequency is 0.9. Here frequency is 0.1. What is the heterozygous individual frequency? It is 2pq. We have the P here, we have the Q here. We have the P here, we have the Q here. 2pq, it is 0.18. 0.18. Next. Correct order. Correct order is Paleozoic, this one. Then Mesozoic, Cenozoic. Paleozoic. Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. Here you can see the arborescent lycopods. The Cenozoic ferns, previous question. They originated from the xylophyton. This is originated not from xylophyton. In between Tracheophyta and Rhinia. 26 analogous organs have. We studied different origin. Different origin means different structure, but same function. But same function. Next, 26 is a match the following. Answer is A. Darwin, that you know. De Vries, that you know. Pasteur used a swan-necked flask. Pasteur used a swan-necked flask to disapprove, to discredit theory of spontaneous generation. Sidney Fox, protobiosis. That is, Sidney Fox also supported chemical evolution of life in which small spheres are formed. The spheres have different combination of organic molecules, and from these small spheres, protobios, the first life originated. Question number 27. Fossils are generally in sedimentary rock. They are loose rocks. They are soft rocks in which when an organ falls down, its impression will be preserved. Sedimentary rock. 28. Again, more or less a same match the following. Different others. Answer is B. Answer is B. Darwin, it is P. Evolution by natural selection. Oparin, abiogenesis. What is abiogenesis? Life originated from pre-existing non-living organic molecules. Life originated from pre-existing, non-living, organic molecules. This is what is called abiogenic origin of life. What is called abiogenic origin of life. He is supported. Who? Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane. Name Oparin is only given. A.I. Oparin is a Russian biochemist who mainly proposed this one. Lamarck, as I explained already, use and disuse of organs which resulted in evolution according to Lamarck's theory. Wegener, it is continental drift theory. Alfred Wegener, who proposed the continental drift theory. In this theory, he suggested that continents of the world, they are constantly moving. They are constantly moving. They moved over geologic time. During different geologic time, the position of the continents were not same. They were moving. Sometimes they hit together. Sometimes they fuse together. Sometimes they split apart and forms different continents. This is what is called continent theory. Explains the origin of continents. 29. The answer is C. The answer is C. Origin of species by means of natural selection. It is by Charles Darwin. Origin of life by A.I. Oparin. And this is the name of an essay written by Alfred Wallace, who sent this essay to Darwin for getting an opinion. He was working in Malay Archipelago, the present Indonesia. Then, philosophic, we discussed in an earlier question written by Lamarck. An essay on principles of population, Thomas Robert Malthus. He was an Anglican priest, an economic of British origin. He published this essay on human evolution. So, this essay was influenced by Darwin to formulate his theory of natural selection. Coming to the last question, question number 30. Appearance of antibiotic resistant bacteria. It is pre-existing variation in the population. That is, antibiotic resistant varieties not evolved because of antibiotics. Because of the discovery of antibiotic, not. Antibiotic resistant varieties were there. In the population, some bacteria are antibiotic resistant. But when their population increased, their population increases or increased when we use antibiotics excessively. When the population increases, antibiotic resistant population increases, when the environment is favorable, when the environment becomes favorable for them. How the environment becomes favorable? They prefer antibiotic. When the environment is excess of antibiotics, the environment is favorable for antibiotic resistant types. How the concentration of the antibiotic become high? It is excessive use by humans. That is by anthropogenic action. So it was there. But don't think that antibiotic resistant varieties were a new one evolved due to the use of antibiotic. No. Antibiotic resistant varieties were there. Due to excessive use of antibiotics, the environment become favorable for antibiotic resistant types. So they are selected. Their population increases. So they become more. That's all about in this session of 30 selected question discussion of chapter evolution. Thank you, dear students. We wind up.